Kids, I have a few slow speakers here. These species are Spiritula spp and Aggregativa spp. Lumaman blind tiger man. Diao lumanwei. Nangsaman. Which of the above are real men? There is only one correct answer, Nangsman. It's this thing that looks like a big tadpole. It belongs to us. This video is about mandarin orange. His common English name is also Cuio. That is, the real man. Monley wood is now one of the oldest types of fish. They belong to the high group of sea lilies, also known as the prominent sea lily group. It was also the first to differentiate among the bony fish. Some people might ask about oxidation. What about the sea lotus? It looks similar to a pouty mouth. How does this relate to slender eels? That's because all the fish at the Halion headquarters, they all undergo abnormal development. They all have a transparent something after they are born. Willow leaf village larval stage. This is also true for all fish. The only point to this vaccination site. If we compare the larvae of the sea curtain and the slow-growing larvae, you'll find that they really are wildflower monsters. Unusual brothers. Brothers with different fates. Fish like the sea bream and northern barracuda have already dwindled in number. Only Manlim has 20 trees remaining. More than 160 mice. 1,000 species. Among all living fish, they can all be considered to have a thriving fish population. Most of the pearwood is from saltwater fish. This is also in our daily lives. The reason why they are rarely recorded. And although it is said that there are 20 seeds under Manori Kinoshita, but these 20 stars, the vast majority, these are all small businesses with fewer than 20 varieties each. The most primitive existing manlywood. It is the original Menyamus original Manco. Below that there is only one Palau native man. This is also a kind of underwater life. Species in salt and pepper caves. It remained a hidden monster until 2016 when it was finally discovered. There are some people in the world who feed on extinct eels. Features. For example, a small body size of less than 20 centimeters. Compared to most slow-moving animals, their body shape is not particularly slender. Scientists believe he is the ancestor of all other eels. They all originated from the original version. Now that we've talked about the original flavor duck eye, next up is Tuntsman, also called the order Hesman's ducks. This item also only has one shell. That is Tunsimenko. This family contains more than 40 species. They are mostly deep-sea fish, most of them living in environments hundreds to thousands of meters underwater. Their height is mainly between 30 and 70 centimeters. The largest one is called the South African Sisman, distributed in South Africa, deep sea off Australia and New Zealand, an environment with water temperature of only 47 degrees Celsius. His body size can reach 180 centimeters. In the deep sea, thousands of meters below the surface. The color scheme indicates a huge size. Several species in the genus Neocetus. It can also grow to over 1 meter. They were all gray or dark black. The above-mentioned women have relatively large eyes. The overall art style looks fairly normal. Tong 3 Manco. Below is a rather special type called parasitic worms. What is the meaning of their total price term? Parasitic? It is parasitism, the meaning of resurrection. This kind of slowness, although it's called parasitic slowness. But mainly it's because I'm not some small animal. You do eat some corpses, though. When? They have also been found on other living organisms. The third subwood of Manlamu is pure subwood. And what do they call it? Haitian. There are 30,000 here. 2 of them are small. One is a woman from the village, also commonly known as Neiman. I can tell just by hearing the name. They are mainly distributed in the mud not far from the shore. This one, only 8 species of fish from the genera short-clawed mandarin and Mammillaria are found, mainly distributed along the West African coast. Their height is generally between 40 and 80 centimeters. The longest length, The red short-haired broccoli can grow to over 1 meter long. The longest python is also called the red-spotted snakefish. While they were alive, there is no pigment on the body surface. It can perfectly reflect the red color of blood. The third piece of purebird's nest is called soft and glutinous. It sounds so soft and sweet. This one is also very small. There's only one number 5 kinds of fish. They are reddish in color. The body length is basically 3,550 centimeters. He wasn't very big. It's somewhat similar to a pure science team, but the eyes are bigger, more vibrant colors. She looks more delicate and not fierce. Pure science is a very large family in Manlama Gorge. There are 2 subfamilies, 16 mice, over 200 kinds of fish. First, there's the subfamily Moray. Of these, 125 species have been described. They are all naked-breasted rats. The various Moray eels we usually see on water columns. Good often appears on major Hong Kong and Taiwan television channels. The giant eel in the plate. Many of them are rats. We met while shirtless. Many people are curious about what this bare-chested look means. Could it be a shirtless eel? This bare chest refers to the absence of pectoral fins. Those who are knowledgeable about fish may notice. Actually, many fish. All cases involve fins that have partially degenerated. However, very few fish degenerate their pectoral fins because of the pectoral. For him, like a car's steering wheel, only those who are very adapted to caves. Fish in crevice environments will degenerate into ferocious beasts. Without a dangerous move, there is naturally no way to attack. Besides not having any bad moves, sea, and many fish, there is another significant difference. Their cheek covers have also degenerated. The cheek cleft turned into a small belly. It looks like it has a very wide throat. The garlic genus has some very large species. For example, bare chest, scattered beans, bare chest, garlic. It can grow up to 3 meters long and as thick as a human thigh. Several tens of kilograms. Flexible and robust physique. Mouth full of pressurized particles. Paired with Shanghai sea cucumber. The powerful recommendation capabilities brought by combining the 2 images can. It is said to be a 3 peperona dominant. It can be described as a mini huanglong of Monzon. Many fish, if they have nightmares, I guess he'll dream about it. He was attacked by these alien-like mouths. Bite and swallow. If you encounter food, you can't swallow. The bare-chested woman also has 2 skills. One is a death roll similar to that of a crocodile. You can twist the meat off. There's another one. Tie a slip knot for yourself from beginning to end. Pull off what it has bitten. This one is for dealing with sea creatures. This kind of opponent is good at zero-distance engagement. It's very easy to use when you are being bitten by other animals, used to escape. Plus, the bra is thick and chewy. It also has a very smooth and thick outer skin. It can be said to be a combination of offense and defense. He is a hexagonal warrior. Besides the most typical Semidank build, bare-breasted diet, some species opted for other builds. For example, leopard print bare-chested dishes. Slender body. It looks ordinary. Nothing special. But what about this unique secret technique for bare breasts? It is durable and elastic. It does not live in the sea. Instead, they live in the lower reaches of freshwater streams. Except for breeding, they never enter the seawater. Instead, there are various natural canyons, appearing in an environment. A high-level account entered a low-level server. It can easily crush noobs at the same time. Till Bears has already learned the skill of being resilient, but it can only last a little while. Even if you keep it in water for a long time, it will die. Therefore, they generally live in semi-fragrant environments. Occasionally enter freshwater. Besides naked bear eels, snake fan rat, and folding fan rat. It is also one of the larger rodents in the subfamily Sarcopinae. The most common type of snake fan is the one commonly known as the snowflake fan. Cloud pattern snake fan. Where is this mouse? He looks a bit more honest and simple than the naked wanderer, mainly because his mouth is a bit short. The folding fan, on the other hand, has an even longer spout. There are also some well-developed nasal duct protrusions. It actually looks more ferocious than the naked walking pouter. The most famous leopard print folding fan. Water bamboo rings are commonly known as dragon king slow. These are all common ornamental fish. Longzama luo haichun, commonly known as zebra man. It is also a common ornamental species. It has a very fashionable black and white circle pattern. He looks more honest and simple, as gentle as his appearance. Mainly eat crabs, shellfish, and other shelled creatures. The body shape of the tube wall is extremely long. The body is slender and the back is wide. Let's get moving. It's as beautiful as the silk ribbons in a body-worn performance. Pipe wall storage. It is also a relatively common type of fish served in a pot in the market, commonly known as the five-colored man. Their family background is also quite interesting. He usually hides in mud and sand caves and only explores. Head. Although we don't appear to be particularly disguised, it wasn't very fast either. However, the success rate of ambushing small fish is not low. At the same time, the common five-colored charms all have bright blue body, lemon yellow becky, and the male with the tip of his nose growing. If two colorful dragons combine to create a single power source, living there for a long time, the larger one will turn black. At this point, when it's yellow, it's a female. You really do look like a real-life brother. Finally, there is one more genus. It is called a long-lipped or curved cliff fan. Its characteristic is also that it is long. It's like the shape of a tube wall prolapse. Adding the number calculated with bare chest. The largest longtail cliff sea fan can grow to 34 meters. It is the longest and slowest, as long as the black manta ray. Another subfamily of this pure family is the caudate labial subfamily. The pairs among them are simply very unique in appearance. His mouth is big and wide. Unlike most of the hage, it doesn't have a mouth full of teeth. The eyes are also very close to the tip of the nose. Overall, it looks very intelligent. Now that we've talked about the suborder Lycium, what about? Next is another suborder of Lactomorpha. Below that, there is only one family, the Labiaceae. As the name suggests, it looks a lot like a sea pelt, but it's not a sea-scattered product. His English name is also Jiahaishan. This one isn't very big, there are about 25 kinds. Their body size is relatively uniform. Most are between 18 and 30 centimeters. Generally, the eyes are larger and positioned lower. It looks quite cute. Some species have heads that look somewhat like velvet balls. What's next? It is the largest subtree in Manlimulae. It is called Antigemania. It can also be called Normania wood. The first one is Cartier. Haller's Normanco sounds delicious. It really is delicious. This planet contains many species native to its habitat. Star barley, used in many Japanese and Korean dishes. It has a soft and chewy texture. His meat came from Konjamanko. New Kangiman, Konjamanko. It is also a family with many varieties of Suzuki. Includes crude oil man. The three subfamilies of Conchim and Isoconchim. 200 species. The family with the most species is the Conjamanini. These types of fish look quite similar and are not very big. Many are like seafood. I like to explore the rocky peaks. In the wild, sometimes they would gather in the same cave as other mandarins. The largest one is Kanjamansu. There are about 10 kinds. They can all grow to 1 meter, including those mentioned earlier that originated in the Bohai Sea, New Konjamania in the Sea of Japan, and the European Kongamon. It can grow to a very large size. It can grow up to 3 meters long. Thicker than a large naked bear fan, weight exceeding 100 kilograms, the biggest man. Because many fish in this family are deep-sea fish. Therefore, information on other fish is also much scarcer. What about another subfamily of conchimon? It's called crude oil manuko. How does it look compared to conchimiaco?
Shorter body.
The head is rounder. Looks cuter. Although it sounds. They all seem to be deep-sea fish from the abyss. Actually, the largest genus is called media comics. This media, it's not that they like doing self-media. Rather, it means good and beneficial to health. Most media outlets are predominantly silver-colored. However, it also resembles stripes. Media bay has species with more attractive colors. It's a bit like a garden. Therefore, some media outlets occasionally appear. Ornamental fish market. However, Ecolab is a company that integrates Maniac. This is the most familiar version of the anti-epidemic version.
Why?
Because he also has a more widely known name. It's called Garden Man. Ecolabiacos are all very slender. Round head and big eyes. He likes to bury most of his body in the sand. Peek out. Half of my body was filtered through the water by the ocean current 15 times. At the slightest disturbance, he immediately withdrew his motivation. Living.
Live your life as.
The appearance of these lawyer animals, tube worms. Where is their cave? It dug backwards using its tail, instead of tilting downwards, just like the foundation laid by the civil engineer. Where are the garden tails? It was also specialized into a cone-shaped form. It's convenient for me to bury myself in the sand at any time. What is the body length of most garden plants? Between 40 and 60 centimeters. For example, common, Hashglass Manchester United, and Evergrande Round Manchester United. When they are raising them, ideally, it should be 80 of your own body length. Sand of approximately thickness. Such stringent conditions? It's actually not suitable for most family harbors. What about another family of Normania? It's called Scene Manco. Only 23 of them. Judging from the name, you'll feel that the fish's neck. He looks rather strange. Indeed, that's quite true. What about the head and neck of the Cymbidium genus? It looks a bit like a beard. Jingman's head and mouth are very flat. From a distance, it's not easy to tell which side is the head and which side is the tail. Next up is Haymanco. There aren't many varieties of this one. There are 6 genera and 15 species. However, their characteristics are quite consistent. They are all silver gray. Becky, who is long and wide. The mouth is also relatively long. For example, former Hermann. Just look at the head. Somewhat like Spinosaurus. It also revealed a lot of plumpness. What do your teeth look like at first glance? It also resembles a large fish like a sea eel or a moray eel. As for how to distinguish between sea eels and moray eels, you can distinguish them by whether they have pectoral fins. The duckbill manta ray is entirely composed of deep-sea fish. Many don't even have clear pictures. Even the larger species are around 60,100 centimeters long. However, they are all very fine. It has a very pointed mouth and big eyes. For example, the slow-cooked duckbill pastry. The most unique part of the duckbill pastry is the wheat pastry. His upper lip has a protruding tip. It looks like a structure resembling the 9 corners of the West. Snake manco. It is the family with the most species in Manchuria. There are 62 mice and more than 300 species. Most snakes? All in. The people of the shallow sea live a life of digging holes in the mud and sand. The body is about several tens of centimeters long. It's one of the more common things to see in daily life. There are many snakes in the Southeast Sea Market, commonly known as earth dragon. The snake has a basic body type. Its characteristics are that it is thin and long, small eyes and big mouth. The upper lip is longer than the lower lip. Many have heads that are as pointed as Arnold's. The tip of its tail is also pointed. It can be used to quickly reverse the sand, because there are just too many species. So what? I'll just pick some special species to talk about. For example, the serpentine petal. Unlike most snake vines, which are naturally bound to the ground, it is an underbite, a mouthful of buck teeth. The eyes are positioned both forward and downward. It looks like a creature from a video game or a movie. Personalized mouth. It could be something like skin color variation. There are also short-bodied companions, whereas the pen with a big mouth and upward-facing eyes buried in sand. Like a turtle, Lemon's mouse and flower snake mouse. The skin is a stylish color scheme of black, white, and yellow. Like the previous two types of snake vines, they can also grow to a relatively large size. It is about 1 meter long. Actually, the black, white, and yellow color scheme of the snake mango. I see more women with this kind of appearance. It can be basically confirmed that it is a snake family. The largest member of the serpentman clan is the serpentman,
Hessaman.
widely distributed in Canadian waters around the world. It has a relatively long mouth. They look very much like some members of Hymenco. However, it can be determined by whether or not there is a broad back. Distinguished by the shape of the pupil. Many tongues. It has straight pupils like a goat's. Whether lying on the sand. I'd rather burrow in the sand and gaze at the stars. Their eyes can move. Keep your line of sight level with the sand. The serpent's hatred could cause it to roll in death. Actually, there are many large man limes. They're all very good at this move. However, what about most of the snake vines? They mainly eat invertebrates. Therefore, its appearance is not as short as that of the peacock snake. The body valve is so vicious. For example, snake species that inhabit freshwater. In fact, in Asia and the Pacific. Tropical series of muskrat. In Asia, the fine colors of freshwater streams in Oceania, and there also being curd petals. It has round, bean-like teeth. It can be used to crush shrimp and crab shells. Some species can also enter freshwater. For example, the porcelain petals of the stone-sloping bean, the last family of Normania. It is Wanamenco. This subject isn't very big either. Only short tails can resist slow numbers, or called vortex resistance slow number. There are 10 species. They are also deep-sea fish. It sounds like he's short but actually, not too small. Most of the species from this university are 3,050 centimeters long. It's just that the body proportions look rather short. Their tails and heads are very short. Eyes are relatively large. Typical two-dimensional manga. The urgent Normanian objective is the hidden Manian objective. There are 2 genera of food. You can guess what they look like just by their names.
Pink body. Paired with a degenerated flag.
They also like to burrow into the mud and sand. It really does look like an earthworm. The most common one? Southeast Asia. Lita Emmanuel and Bighead Emmanuel from India. Because they are species that can adapt to freshwater. Therefore, it is sometimes done under the guise of ornamental fish segments. Import. In the market, it's called roseman. Rose gold. It really looks good. It's a pity about when they were put into the fish tank. This might be the last time you see him. After all, raising him is indeed similar to raising earthworms. Nangsemenium is even more of a heavyweight. Although Manrim brought out many exciting points. They were all piled up on his head. But basically, he still looks like a man. But this. He's changed himself so much that he wouldn't even recognize his ancestors. No wonder. Nangsman was originally a separate tomb. It wasn't until molecular biology made a fool of itself that this was confirmed. This thing is really slow. The Nangsman suborder has 4 great kings. They are from the family Broadeyes, Nangsemenko, Donhamenko, and Yoemenko. These 4 are not very big. They are all deep-sea fish. There are only 5 mice in total. The family Amur angelfish only contains 1 species, the Amur angelfish, also known as devouring man. This is a fish with a very unique appearance. The head is very big. His eyes are located at the very front of his head. The distance between the eyes is very small. This is memory. This intensified the eerie feeling. The distance from their cheekbones to the tip of their mouth, greater than the distance to the anus. What about this proportion when applied to a person? Just like a big mouth and big ears. The distance is greater than the distance from the ear blade to the anus.
Strictly speaking,
They have very big mouths. They also don't have ribs. The jaw joint is located very far back. The stomach can expand very large. Let them eat more than themselves in one bite. Heavy prey. The tail is long and thin, like it's swallowing something whole. The tail has a light emitting organ at the end. They can grow up to 1 meter long. However, it mainly depends on the length of the tail. Its actual size is not that large. Nangsemenko has a number. The appearance here is quite similar to swallow spa. They all have big heads and big mouths, paired with a slender and long body. They can find something even finer and longer than a spa treatment. What's different about the pulse diagnosis method? Their mouths are not that wide. Teeth are more developed. My belly is usually loose and saggy. It looks like a lump of black plastic bag. They are like the Tasmans. The tail also has light-emitting organs at the end. However, its effects are currently unclear. Dan and Menko looked very strange. It's somewhat like the spaceship that Thanos killed in the Avengers. But in reality, the smallest is much slower. It's less than 10 centimeters long. As a close relative of the phagocytic vein and the obstructive vein, they also have very elastic stomachs. However, it degenerated into loss and it's like a person not being pulled up.
how can we eat then?
It's very simple, just open your jaw and push the food into your mouth, like a starvation crusher. The mandarin fish is also a poisonous fish. Unlike most fish, is it a sharp stab to the back or spine, or poison in the internal organs? Used only for defense against them. Looking up, fangs appeared. Poisonous fangs grow on their upper jaw. The poison line is located roughly directly below the head. Can be called the black mamba of Manchester. Fishtail manco has 2 mice. One is the fishtail man. This type of fish isn't very big to begin with. What do they look like compared to their 3 brothers? The differences are significant. It has a small pointed beak. Another piece is missing from the middle of the tail. It looks like a dart. The new payman's color is red. In other aspects, it's quite similar to the off-road man. However, its mouth is a bit shorter. Chin upturn. Some are like wen and man. The strange relationship between the 2 sides of the off-road vehicle. Finally, it was the last sub-eye of manlim. That is manrium. This is also the most authentic man in everyone's mind. However, if we look at the evolutionary relationships of manim, we will find Nangsmanem and these most heavyweight man. It's not far related to manlium. Moreover, manrium actually has 30,000. The other 2 are modern man and giant chick. Most people have never even heard of manco, also a deep-sea species. And you can tell just by looking at the name. His appearance is definitely not normal. The slow line is also called the fish mouth slow line. These particles all look like, almost, if you had to describe their appearance in one word. That is fine, regardless of the body. Both its mouth and tail are extremely thin. Fish that can grow to over 1 meter long. The width is about the same as a measuring tape. However, their most distinctive feature is their head, with extremely slender elongation, steady without teeth, and the proportion is very large. Eyes almost as thick as the body. Moreover, the top and bottom, as well as the front section, are curved upwards towards each other. Even when used as chopsticks, they can't pick up peanuts. What about their lifestyle habits? We know almost nothing about it. According to the Acaricide family, there are 2 types of dead species. Most of them are about half a meter long. His appearance is somewhat similar to that of the modern man. However, it's also considerably thicker than the current man. The mouth and body look more powerful, although teeth have also degenerated. But it's still much better than the ones below. The body is silver black and laterally flattened. It looks a bit like a ribbonfish. We know nothing about their joy. Actually, even very common slow. People don't know much about him. It's like being one less than the last one. even the Japanese version, which is most common in East Asia. Its reproductive and developmental process. Where exactly is the contaminated site? I've only learned about it quite a bit in recent years. Manrico. It is the tomb of the one that most favored freshwater. This family has 2 numbers and 20 species of fish. They all live in freshwater. However, they will still enter the seawater to reproduce. As we mentioned at the beginning, the entire Hylian community will be watching with willow branches. It is also mentioned that abnormal development will occur during the Sichuan journey. Take Japanese manga as an example. Let me give you a brief overview. Manley's perversion and relapse process. After hatching, it will first develop into willow leaf veins. During this stage, the body is very flat, very tall but thin. Except for the eyes, the whole body is transparent. It can help those with poor motor skills on the right side. Drifting with the water. Also avoid being preyed upon by predators. At this stage, his internal organs are external, hanging at the very bottom of the abdomen. So how does it look from the side? It's as if there are no internal organs at all. Its moisturizing ability is also very poor. You can basically only eat a little bit. Various organic fragments suspended in water. That is, the ocean cave. This stage of early childhood development. Even the muscles haven't developed much. The body is mainly composed of polysaccharides, like the right hand of an insect. Accumulate nutrients. Here we can see
Different slow.
the appearance may change greatly after adulthood. However, the appearances of the willow leaf motifs become quite similar at different stages. For Japan, slow. They were born near the Mariana Trench until the Black Nest. It stretched all the way to the western coast of the Pacific Ocean. In between, it may take almost a year.
This is exactly.
The wanderer is preparing to strengthen its power system. The stage of preparing for the journey up to Shuha. Only after approaching land. They will only be able to do so within a few days. Quickly transformed into a glass door. Then enter the river mouth. Pigmentation will also begin to accumulate. It became like a series of threads, also called slow line. This period also saw many slow-growing seedlings being harvested. The initial stage of artificial breeding. What happened next? They will then live in the freshwater of the estuary for 68 years, or longer. Prepare for future reproduction by storing nutrients. What about the individual items we eat? They are all in this stage. What happens after the eel fully grows into a worm? They will undergo another change. Eyes will become bigger. The body color will also become brighter. To meet the demand for sea production. Back to the sea. They lay their eggs in the distance, gazing at their birthplace. This journey, it may take close to a year. The adults' efforts during this period were not timely. What happens after arriving at the destination? For them, reproduction was all that remained in their lives. The rest will die after reproduction. Because of this special reproduction pattern, once the number of inoculum in Manly is destroyed, it is very difficult to recover. In reality, so far, Japan is working hard. There is also no way to commercially breed them artificially. Even individuals in breeding farms. It also involves the artificial breeding of wild rapeseed that has been caught. What about the wild population of Manly? It is already at the endangered level, even more likely to become extinct than the giant panda.
But
There are absolutely no laws protecting their population. In various places, a large number of individual sales can be seen. Used for. It's going to be very uncomfortable if this continues. Work hard in the future. Will they still be able to appear in our site? Is she in a similar situation to Manly in Japan? Even American Mary is in critical condition. And as a traditional European era, Manly, returning to Europe from birth. It may even take 3 years. Their situation is already extremely dire. Half of the Sun Saint. Although some studies have pointed out, there may be a very small amount of Japanese chestnuts and European chestnuts. They will not return to freshwater after birth. Instead, it has always grown in the ocean or estuary. But I still urge everyone, if possible, try to avoid using these endangered eels.
So,
Having discussed the metamorphosis and ecological pathways of Mani, let's talk about the species in Manrick. Manrick has 20 kinds of fish. 19 of them are Mani rats. The members of this rat family are all quite large. Based on appearance, they can be roughly divided into 3 types. One type is ultra-small, called the new version of the affiliation. It has only been found in underground freshwater in Nepal. There is very little information. Not even a single picture can be found. The individual described was less than 5 centimeters long. One type has a relatively slender build. The body color is usually silver gray on the upper body, silver white lower body. The representative species is the one we just provided, were Manly, American Manly, European Manly, and Australian Manly. Body length less than 150 centimeters. Also relatively lightweight, in 67,000 grids. The other type is the rough-built body, mainly olive green, marble patterns on yellow ochre. Representative species include the flower manly, Bangladesh manly, Sullivish manly, Ray manly, and Manly. That is Nagasaki, New Zealand. These species are stout and robust. The head is relatively wide. What about the back of the eyes? You can see the large and prominent masseter muscles. It can grow to a very large size. How big is it? As a true man, they are about 2 meters long, weight exceeding 20 kilograms. The environment in which it exists is at the top of the food chain. They feed on various fish, shrimp, and crabs. It can even leave the water and go ashore to forage for food for a short time. They also eat the carcasses of large species. I can't eat. They would use death drowsiness to kill their prey. Petal-like particles are also native to China, although wild mushrooms are now listed as one of the 2 treasures. However, the destruction of streams in the wild, pollution, and human fishing. This also led to the extinction of this species. If a secluded stream is invaded by tilapia, lacking flour full grain, this is the only tilapia that can lift itself. Layered predators. Ecological structure of this independent stream. It will be completely destroyed. So be it, manlabo. Many species are genderless when they are young. They can determine based on population size. From adaptive adjustment of sex ratio. If the population size is small, the proportion of females will increase to help the colony recover more quickly. In addition to the artificial propagation of Hua manly, it's easier than Japanese manly. We also hope that in the future, this kind of river autonomy will be possible, can reappear in the wild.